so excited to be presenting Devon to you today. I was thinking this morning about how I was going to introduce Devon, and I was like, I could talk about this girl for hours. I could just talk about her for hours. I think she's incredible. When I first met Devon on New Student Organization, we made just an immediate connection. And right away, I knew, like, this is going to be my girl. Since then, I've gotten to know her much better. Devon is a natural leader. Often in advisory, she'll be like, wait, guys, what if? And then she'll like come up with this fantastic plan, and suddenly we're all like dressing like we're going to Vegas, and it's mayhem, but it's Devon's idea, we get on board. Devon is also a helper. She's always the first person to jump in and ask how she can help. In fact, I think she brought the snacks for you guys today. Did you bring those snacks? On her own Bee Project Day, she brought the snacks, which is crazy. She is kind and caring and compassionate, which I see every morning when she hangs out with my kids. The way she talks to little people is the exact same way she talks to adults, which is really special about Devon. I'm sure there are 1,000 other things that I could say about you, but Devon has written a beautiful speech today. It is introspective, it is reflective, and it is so uniquely her. So, ready? All right, Devon.
Thank you for taking time to be here and listen to these speeches today. As Doug Firehoff once said, every day do something that will inch you closer to a better tomorrow. Around the summer after 6th grade, I had fallen into a slump when it came to sports. I had just quit the one I had loved and committed to for years, and I was on a clean slate. For a while, I questioned if I should even try to get into a new sport or if I could find one with the struggle of starting new. Then I heard some of my friends talk about volleyball season coming up. I had watched my sister play volleyball for years and seen her fall in love with the sport. So when I went home that day, I told my parents that I wanted to try it out. I went to a camp or two and quickly realized my passion for it, but I also realized that when it came to skill level, I was behind. Most girls my age had been playing for years and had more experience. It was easy to doubt and compare myself, and those feelings are not easily shaken off. With that, I knew if I really wanted to keep playing volleyball, I would have to put in twice as much time and effort that I had before. I started going to more camps, staying after practice, practicing at home, and even skipped out on multiple family vacations to do everything I could to grow towards being a better player. Finally, after months, tryouts came around. I did everything I could to be recognized by the coaches and apply all I learned, but even after everything, when tryouts were over, I still had no idea if I made it. I waited for hours sitting at home until we got the email. The list was posted on the school doors. We drove up there hoping for the best while also knowing there could be the worst, and as I walked up to the door, there it was. My name mixed in with all the others. It seemed so unreal. So many talented girls had tried out for that spot, and it was mine. I was so excited. Soon practices and games started, and it was clear to me that I was the newest one to this sport. My coaches recognized that, and they gave me everything they could to help me grow. They put me in during games, encouraged me, and didn't go easy on me just because I was new. Every day I got better, and by the time the season had come to an end, I had become a completely different player. There was no doubt that I wouldn't be where I am today without them. When the school season officially had come to an end, I made the decision to go out for club volleyball at Union. From what I heard from my sister, club was more competitive than school volleyball. There was a crazy amount of girls all fighting their way to get on one of only 3 regional teams. I later realized what my sister said was very true after I had gone to my first couple camps. I was never with a set group of girls, and everyone was on a different skill level. While learning new things, you also have to learn to adjust to everyone around you, which can be really frustrating when you feel like you're holding someone back from doing their best, or someone else is holding you back. With that struggle came really good days and really bad days, but I knew I had to stay consistent if I was going to get a spot on one of the teams. Once again, trials came around, and towards the last day, one of the coaches came and brought me over to the court he was coaching. I didn't know if I had just been brought up or down a team, but I had no choice but to go with it. 30 minutes go by, and he comes back over and tells me he wants me on his team, which I learned was the #1 regional team in our age group. It was so unexpected. I had no idea what to say or do because it was only my first year of club. My mom was the first one here, and she was so proud. Little did I know that club season would be everything I had hoped for. I had an amazing team of girls who I loved, and a coach that believed in me, and pushed me harder than anyone else. Looking back on it, this sport has given me so many wonderful things, and I can't imagine my life without it. In February of 2020, we as students experienced something that we could have never predicted in years before. School started closing, we were in quarantine, and everything went virtual. When I got the email, I, like many others, immediately got on my phone texting my friends that they had heard the news. To many students, this was our freedom. But it wasn't until I started back that I realized how impactful this virus was on my academics, and not in such a fun way anymore. Now I was thrown into the world trying to catch up on tons of work, and the world where we had to be 6 feet apart at all times with masks. The school was forced to skip units and prioritize things they thought were most important. Unfortunately for me, one of those units was grammar. Skipping that unit affected my grades throughout every year of school until I decided to move to collegiate right on the year they were going to reteach it. I soon questioned once they had started teaching grammar if it was worth my grades going up because it was a pain to learn. It wasn't like math, strict ways to get a result. It was always changing depending on the situation, which can be more frustrating than you know. I could have asked a million questions, but it seemed like I would never understand. I started to worry that this unit would drive my grade down. But eventually, step by step, with a lot of help from Ms. Pino, things started to make a little bit more sense. My grammar test scores that I thought would be the depth of my grade improved, and grammar didn't seem as hard anymore. So thank you, Ms. Pino, for pulling me through that experience. Another thing that was affected by the pandemic was books that were normally assigned to my old school got skipped. So when I received my first assigned book over the summer, I wanted to do anything but read it. I'm not normally a big reader, so being assigned books made me worry on whether it would affect my grade. After I finished that first book, it didn't seem so bad, but there was one thing I did not consider. During summer, I had 3 months worth of time to read it, but during the school year, I did not have that freedom. I would have to read and annotate 30 or so pages a night, and I couldn't just come and go reading the book as I had done over the summer. That was going to be the hardest part, and there were a couple of times where I was reading so fast, reading as fast as I could right before class would start. I had to figure out how to time manage these things, which is not easy when I tend to procrastinate. Luckily for me, I found a solution around the time I started reading the book, Brown Girl Dreaming. The solution was that I started to enjoy the books I was reading. Reading became less of a chore and more of a way to pass the time. Before I knew it, that problem started to disappear. Overall, my education has had many road bumps, and it will continue to, but I've learned to push through it and try and find a bright side. For a very long time at school, I never had a set group of friends. Year after year, school would start up again, and I'd worry about where I was going to fall, or if I would finally find my group of people. Eventually, I stopped worrying and figured if I was just nice to everyone, I would be happy with what I had. But as the people around me grew closer to one another, I started to feel more alone. Around that time, my sister had moved to collegiate. She always told stories about what it was like and how happy she was there, so I had the idea of moving schools. Even though I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be at my own school, I still had friends, and the thought of leaving them for a new school that could end up being no different scared me. Months went by in my old school with the same feeling of being unhappy. That's when I realized if I never took the leap, I would probably be where I was the rest of middle school. I started applying to collegiate in 7th grade year and was accepted for 8th grade. I was fully submitted. So the school year had come to an end, and it was time to say goodbye to my friends, which was hard, but I knew it was coming eventually. That summer, I spent almost all my time with my family until golf season started. That was the first time I met people from my grade. I walked up there with my clubs and started warming up when 2 people came and introduced themselves. Owsley and Nessa. We started talking during practice, and I had a really good time. It was a huge relief to finally meet some people, and such nice people at that. Every practice before the school year started, I met somebody new, like Ellington and Naomi. And with each person, I started to feel more and more like I was going to be happy at collegiate, which I can fully say now couldn't have been more true. In all, the steps towards collegiate had their ups and downs, but it turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. For the first several years of my education, I went to Catholic school. Every Friday and Sunday, we were forced to go to church, and I dreaded going. I had to sit through a very long hour of the pastor talking in a way I couldn't understand, with nothing to entertain me but the pamphlets that were handed out on the way in. It was the last way I wanted to spend my weekends. After we moved, I started going to public school, and my parents gave me a choice on whether I wanted to go to our new Christian church or not. And as a 7-year-old who would rather stay home and watch cartoons, I always said no. It wasn't until a year ago that I started seeing Christian content on social media, and it inspired me to start going again. So I went, and week after week I would decide to go back. The reason I kept going back to the church was because it wasn't like the old one. They preached in a way that I could relate to, and they didn't shield the bad parts of life. They put themselves in everyone's shoes and truly showed me what it was like to know and choose my faith. After a couple of months of regularly going, I started to apply what they said in my life, and I started to see the world in a different way. Then, one Sunday, I walked in and found my seat like normal, but this time it was different. Before I knew it, pictures of Western Kentucky destroyed had scattered the screen, and we learned just a couple of days earlier a tornado had run through. Towns were struggling, and the church implored people to help any way they could. My dad and I decided we needed to go drive down and help. We went to a town that wasn't really getting a lot of attention by the news, but was still in bad condition. We cleaned up houses, and through that experience, I saw just how even the littlest things can mean so much to others. It also reminded me just how fortunate I am to have what I have, and to never take it for granted. In all, my faith and the church has opened my life to new experiences and has led me on a path that I am entirely grateful for. I want to dedicate this speech to Chris and Jennifer Boyer. You have both been the most incredible parents, but even more than that, you've been my best friends. Truly, I don't know how to put it into words, but I can at least say this. You are the people I never want to lose. You have never judged me and have given me the most amazing place to grow up in. When I say place, it doesn't mean our house or Louisville. I mean a place of true unconditional love. Mom and Dad, you both are the biggest blessing, and you deserve the world and more. Jordan, I wanted to be just like you for as long as I can remember. I've tried to dress how you dress, I've followed you from school to school, and I've admired you through every step of it. At first glance, everyone says we look almost the same, but once they get to know us, they say we are entirely two different people. The truth is, when they say that, I can't tell if it's a good or a bad thing, because when I think of who you are, I think of the most driven, intelligent, strong-minded, and beautiful girl. Both of us are growing up, and the bad part about being a little sibling is I know one day it's just going to be me. It's going to be going and coming home from school, or just going to be me at family dinners, and that breaks my heart more than anything else. I would never have become who I am today without you. I love you, Jordan. There are a million things Miss Pino. There are a million things I could thank you for, but I'll try and keep it short. Miss Pino, you have the kindest heart and always listen to what I have to say, even if it has nothing to do with what we were talking about before. You put up with my terrible spelling and give me a safe space to go to during the school day. When I don't have energy during school, you always do, and you do your best to try and share it. You're an incredible teacher and person. For that, I thank you. To all the collegiate students, this has been my first year at collegiate, and you all have made it everything I've imagined and more. Every day, you guys never fail to make me laugh or smile, and even though some of us will come and go when we move to high school, I will never forget the impact you all had on my life. As I hope has become clear, I've never been a person to stay away from trying new things in life. Whether it be a new sport or a whole new school, I've never been so opposed to not even try. With that comes the aspiration to grow, but even the smallest new things come with challenges in order to succeed, some of which I've learned are no easy fix. Some take time. So as I experience and continue to face these challenges every day, I have these words to remember. Every day, do something that will inch you closer to a better tomorrow. Thank you.